Debate. Well, an atheist group in Alabama tries to stop prayers in the name of Jesus at high school football games. And that's the first topic of our panel discussion. It's based on Fox News Radio's Todd Starnes' latest daily dispatch and commentaries on the culture wars. And Todd joins us now, of course. There he is, Todd Starnes. Welcome to the new ToddStarnes.com. I like the little position.
We got a little home improvement there.
There we go. I would also want to bring in the rest of the panel because we've got Michael Todora, who's the executive director of the Center for Inquiry.
Thank you.
And Dr. Alex McFarland, and he is the director of Christian Worldview at North Greenville University. Welcome.
Hello, Lauren.
So tell us about the situation in Alabama. This was a suit brought by the Freedom from Religion Foundation, which is some people we've heard from quite a lot lately in the last few years.
Yeah, that's right. We certainly have, and they've been really ratcheting up their attacks on people of faith in the public school sector and public school arena. They've gone after a couple of schools in Tennessee, and now there's a school in Alabama, near Florence, Alabama. And they pray right before the Friday night football game. As a matter of fact, a little bit later tonight, the school will, in fact, hold a prayer to pray for the football players, the referees, the coaches, the whole nine yards. And it typically is a student-led prayer, and the prayer is typically ended in the name of Jesus. Well, someone complained, one person complained, and as a result of this complaint, this group from Wisconsin, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, got involved. They threatened to file a lawsuit if, in fact, they did not stop these prayers.
So they threatened. They haven't actually filed the lawsuit. They've actually threatened to.
No, they're threatening to. So they're waiting to find out what the school system does. And so I talked to the superintendent, and he says, you know, it's really a quandary because most of the school system and most of the community is Christian, and they really don't know what to do because lawsuits cost money.
This is exactly why a lot of schools, a lot of school districts don't fight these lawsuits or bend rather than even fighting them because they don't have the money. And they go after medium-sized communities because they know they don't have the money. Well, that's my opinion, but maybe that's what you found.
Well, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I talked to the pastor of the nearby First Baptist Church. They're very close to the school. And the pastor said it was interesting because he was talking about this in the pulpit last Sunday, David Jeremiah's book that came out, and talking about these attacks, blatant attacks on the Christian faith. And that's what the pastor says this is. He says he's not surprised, but he is sort of, it's sort of unsettling when something like this hits your doorstep.
Yeah.
In Alabama.
In Alabama, yeah, by the belt. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to bring in Michael because you are part of the Center for Inquiry, sort of the lone atheist, sort of on this panel. But when you hear a story like that, a secular person, I shouldn't say, when you hear a story like that, and you say one person complains, and then the whole system has to change. What is your reaction?
Well, it's not necessarily about how many people agree with the policy. It's about whether or not the policy passes constitutional muster. So this actually, the reason why I'm hoping that the school does not go into a lawsuit with this, because they will lose. There is Supreme Court precedent about this. There have been cases in the last 40 or 50 years that have said school prayer is unconstitutional, Bible readings are unconstitutional, clergy-led prayer at high school and school events is unconstitutional, and student-led prayer at these events is unconstitutional. So what the Freedom from Religion Foundation will do is they'll send them a letter saying you should stop this practice or we're going to have to take you to court, hoping that the school, of course, stops the practice so that they don't have to waste precious tax dollars fighting a lawsuit. So, but the important thing, though, is that it's not necessarily about, well, there's one atheist student there that was unhappy about it. In fact, the court case in 2000, the Supreme Court case in 2000 that decided that student-led prayer at high school activities was unconstitutional was actually filed by a Catholic student and a Mormon student who were unhappy with the practices. So what they were unhappy about is that there was one prayer that was supposedly school-sanctioned. And I think similarly, religious people would be upset if, for instance, 99% of the students or community at a school were atheists.
Right.
And they decided that they were going to start each game with a reading from Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion. I would be upset about that as well, because I think that would be a violation of the
Wait, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Alex.
But it would be the same sort of thing. It would be the same sort of thing if 99% of students were Mormon or they were Muslim and they wanted to have a prayer before the game. I think anybody would be offended by that sort of thing because we just don't want to see one religion be able to get that sort of approval from a school or a government?
Well, let me say many high school and college classes are opened by readings from people like Richard Dawkins. And Christianity, I know because I've spoken on so many college campuses and written a number of books that deal with issues like this. Christianity is denigrated. Belief in God is marginalized, and students that believe in Christianity are often ridiculed in the classroom. And let me say this. You mentioned the Supreme Court cases, which I understand over the last 40, 50 years. Indeed, there have been a lot of rulings that seem to go against God and Christianity in public life. And I would say that those are out of step with what our founding fathers intended. And the rights of individuals, the rights of organizations to freedom of expression, freedom of religious expression have been eroded in recent decades. Let me quote George Washington. George Washington said this, quote, "The Constitution which was framed," he said, if I had ever entertained the slightest apprehension that the Constitution which was framed in the convention over which I had the honor of presiding would ever endanger the religious rights of any ecclesiological society, I myself would never have signed it. Now, an ecclesiological society is a church. Washington himself said, if that Constitution would endanger the rights of any religious body, I wouldn't have signed it.
Before we go on, I want to tell people